For those who've been keeping up with my channel, you know I've become a massive advocate for VR. To me, it's the future, plain and simple. However, there's still a lot of room to grow, especially with the games. This is Last Labyrinth, a game I've been eagerly looking forward to for the past several months. It's an escape the room style game, which doesn't necessarily lend itself to diversifying the VR library, but it sets itself apart by introducing Katia, an NPC that will accompany you throughout the mansion that both of you are trapped in. With you, the player, helplessly bound to a wheelchair, Katia acts as your hands and legs in each puzzle room. The only tool afforded to you is a laser pointer strapped to your head, with which you use to guide Katia. Being able to interact with an NPC is something I'd always wanted when I first got my headset. While exploring various worlds and throwing objects around is fun, it always felt a tad lonely, which is why I'm so happy a game like this is being made. Katia is a young, mysterious girl who speaks an unknown language, and one of the first things I noticed while playing this demo was the attention afforded to her body language and the readable inflections in her voice. While you won't be able to understand a word she's saying, it's practically given away by her tone and movements. Obviously, I don't know what she's actually saying, but my guess is as good as any, and it's this level of ambiguity that I utterly adore. One player's interpretation could be just as viable as the next because the game allows it, but that isn't to say it's directionless. After leaving the first room, it's clear that you're being monitored by someone, presumably the owner of this labyrinthian mansion, and we're immediately given a hint that this dungeon master of sorts might have a twisted sense of humor. In the following room, you're presented with a choice of two doors, both inaccessible until solving an introductory puzzle. The one on the left, curiously, features a blender of all things sitting on a small table, unable to be activated. However, once the button beside the door is pressed, it springs to life, falls to the floor, and explodes. It isn't until the puzzle in the preceding room is solved that you realize the blender was there as a form of cheeky foreshadowing. Each room is equipped with some sort of trap that activates once the puzzle is solved, although they never follow through with causing harm, like they're meant to only frighten you and Katia. I mean, in this room where the floor is falling out beneath you, a platform purposefully reaches out to catch Katia just as her grip fails her, and I think these are details the game wants you to take note of. In this short 20-minute demo, there are two endings you can reach. Each depict you and Katia overlooking an ocean atop a tall cliff, but her actions differ. In one, she picks a mirror up off the ground, curiously looks at it, and then casually tosses it off a cliffside before turning to you with a warm smile. In the other, she takes away the device in your hand that allows you to use the laser pointer, holds it sentimentally close to herself, and then runs past you, effectively leaving you abandoned. In the available trailers, we can see an additional third ending, where she unravels the red cloth around her wrists and lets the wind carry them away. It appears that there are numerous endings to discover depending on how you progress through the mansion, which is possibly further evidenced by a strange video feed of a medallion being placed in one of 11 slots carved out of a wooden board. Although the medallion is placed in the same slot regardless of which ending you reach, so it's still unclear what this might represent. Most curiously, however, is what happens after either of these endings. The game seemingly resets with you back in the beginning room, the only noticeable difference being what's tied to the light switch string. When you have Katia turn the light on, you'll see that she looks to you with familiarity. She doesn't jump back like she did when you two first met. No, this is taking place after your first meeting. Did the world reset while allowing you to keep your memories? Clearly they put a lot of care into drenching both the world and Katia in enticing mystery. A kind of mystery that feels familiar. Katia's animation is handled by Atsuko Fukuyama, who worked on character animations in both Ico and Shadow of the Colossus. Her style of animation really stuck out to me in Katia. See, look at that floppiness. Do you see that floppiness? She exhibits the same kind of floppiness you see in Ico and Wander when they move around. Like, look at that flop! She's got the flop! It's goddamn adorable. Handling game design is Tetsuya Watanabe, who previously helped with the physics in The Last Guardian. That pulls together two developers that had a hand in Fumito Ueda's legendary titles. And while that isn't anywhere near enough to call Last Labyrinth another experience set in that world, there's already a lot here that at least suggests it, in my opinion. The made-up language is the biggest giveaway, closely followed up by the game's tone and setting. Sure, you're not clamoring through colossal stone cities and frolicking in wide-open fields, But you are trapped in an eerily desolate mansion that seems to be set on an even more desolate island. In Ico, you had Yorda. In Shadow of the Colossus, you had Agro. In The Last Guardian, you had Trico. In Last Labyrinth, you have Katia. In each one, there is a partner that is crucial to your progression. The similar taste and whimsy these titles share is too potent for me to ignore. I'm very curious to see if my suspicions will be somewhat confirmed by a small Easter egg or something when I finally get to play the full game. Lord knows I'll be keeping an eye out. So if it isn't obvious, I'm excited as hell for this game. Everything about it is right up my alley. Well, maybe except for the puzzles because I'm dumb. I'm gonna take my time. Obviously this is chopped up, so you're not gonna see me just sitting here staring at a wall for 5 minutes straight trying to figure this out. But the art, the tone, the music, oh god, especially the music. Stephanie Justin, who is the voice of Katia and the vocalist for the main theme, absolutely nails it. Listening to it never fails to shoot a chill down my spine. But I need to at least include some criticisms. The biggest immersion breaker was how Katia's voice sounds. For whatever reason, it sounds like they had to record her lines several feet away from a cheap microphone in a poorly padded room. It sounds kinda bad. Not sure if this is a weird audio filter going haywire in Unity, but it could definitely use some tweaking. At first I thought it might have been intentional to make it sound like she was indeed in a poorly padded room because, well, that's where Katia is most of the time, but it carried through into the outdoors. She still sounds like she's in a room. Second thing I found annoying was the chains attached to the handcuffs. They'd occasionally start freaking out while I wasn't moving and just make a racket. Yeah, that chain's a little annoying. Kinda wish it would stop that. Aside from those two things, I don't have many other complaints. It feels like it might get a bit tedious to keep confirming an action with Katia after pointing at something, but there already seems to be a countermeasurement in place for that. I noticed that after having her interact with something more than once, she would usually skip asking for confirmation and just proceed with the action. It was nice. All in all, I can't wait for this game to come out. It's a shame they're working with a tight marketing budget because it shows. Not many people are talking about this. I'm honored the team accepted my request for a key to the closed beta so that I could make this video and spread the word. I may not have the largest following, but I can still yell pretty loud about it. And you can bet your crispy baked biscuits I'm gonna be playing the full game for the channel. So to all you talented folk at Amada, I've got your back. This is exactly the kind of thing I've been waiting for ever since I got into VR, and I have faith you'll deliver something good. To all who are interested in this game, it will be available on the 13th of next month on practically all major VR platforms, including Quest. Check the description for links. Thanks again for this opportunity, and until next time, all of you need to stay beautiful. See ya. What is this? This reminds me of like Prince of Persia.